Good evening, everyone. Time for another silver update. You are looking at the 4-hour gold chart. I've drawn a few trend lines here. One is the primary ascending trend line. As I pointed out in the past, I've gone around some dips, spikes below this just because of the multiple touch points that we have. 1, 2, 3. This one probably could draw to that one there as well. So maybe like this. You can see we're rallying out of this. We're rallying in the middle of this flag formation at the present. We've touched down kind of outside of it, but that's not really uncommon to see. When you're forming a flag, sometimes you can jump out of it. The other trend lines I've drawn are the MACD trend lines, a series of spike tops on the MACD and a couple of lows on the MACD. You can see right here, this is a real critical crossover we're looking at right now, because the next test of this downtrend MACD is going to be up around, we're at negative 5.79, 5.878. It's changing as we speak, but the test point is around 18 for this line to be tested, which has been tested 3 times. Now if we come up to the price here, we can see, well, let's draw some rough lines here of our corresponding test points last time. We have 3 test points, and those correspond roughly to these 3 points: this spike, and this spike. So it looks like if everything holds and we don't get one of these, this is a crossover fake out, and we could get one of these, round up and go down. That is always a possibility. But if we don't get that scenario, then we are looking at something like this, another test up to that line. Where's the price of gold going to be? I think 1950 to 2000 is going to be a conservative estimate. So it looks like we're on our way with gold. That does not mean that silver is on the same path. So let's pull up the silver chart and see what we have here. Now we do have a crossover on the MACD. Doesn't quite correspond with these, but we can draw one to where we are right now. And then we can draw one from this low and this spike. So we may be putting in a bottom temporarily on both of these for the precious metals. Now our resistance in silver is a bit different than gold because we had this huge spike top in May, and that's still the main overlying presence, the bulk of which is right around this point. So this is really a key technical point that we need to test sometime in the future and see how we react when we get to that point. You can see we almost touched it here and then fell back, and we are slowly rising into that. We don't have the same type of ascending flag formation in silver that we have in gold. Gold, as far as the flag formation and the MACD, is far more bullish than silver, but then again, if historical precedents hold, then silver will at some point catch up with gold. That's what we've always seen in the past. I don't see any reason why we should expect that it won't happen in this case. Now I wanted to get to the main topic tonight, and I know some of what I said in the last update is very controversial. I only happened to list just some token agencies of the government that need to be eliminated. Actually, the list is probably in the hundreds, to tell you the truth. And the post office now is going into a financial crisis scenario, as many of the other agencies and departments and governments and all these other groups that are paid for with taxes. So that list was by no means an exhaustive list of the things that need to be A, eliminated, B, consolidated, and C, made to compete with each other. That none of those things on that list were exhaustive. It was just an example of the types of policies that would need to be enacted to return our economy to being a healthy one, as opposed to being a sick socialist economy. So anyway, with that, I wanted to jump over to the main topic tonight, and that is something that you'll see when I start to talk about the supplies, but I wanted to go over just a general Wikipedia definition that's out there to open your mind to what I'm seeing in the situation with the Perth Mint. So this is just a general article on Bottleneck, but it is informative too, so I'm going to read it real quick. A bottleneck is a phenomenon where the performance or capacity of an entire system is limited by a single or limited number of components or resources. The term bottleneck is taken from the assets are water metaphor. As water is poured out of a bottle, the rate of outflow is limited by the width of the conduit of exit. That is the bottleneck. By increasing the width of the bottleneck, one can increase the rate at which the water flows out of the neck at different frequencies. Such limiting components of a system are sometimes referred to as bottleneck points. Now it talks about the concept of bottleneck in other areas. One of the key comments here that is interesting has to do with actually a statement about mining. Let me see if I can find this here. Well, I don't have it here, but it's talking about how you can actually have bottlenecks in mining. It's in this article, and I'll go ahead and link it. So the reason why I brought this topic up is because frequently you will hear people say, especially silver bugs like myself or others who are members of the silver community or silver conspiracy theorists. Bix Weir would be a silver conspiracy theorist. Jason Hommel would be a silver close to conspiracy theorist, maybe purist, and then there's Ted Butler, and there's a whole bunch of people who talk about silver and some of the enigmatic things that we see in silver that we don't see in other markets. So the reason this topic came up is because I was searching around trying to find out the latest news that I could find on silver, and I really didn't see any news, but I decided to go ahead and check prices, because when we have I always like to buy silver on a really violent dip. And the reason why is because silver always goes down very dramatically, but often quickly bounces back. So buy points like this at 32, and here at 36, and even here at 39. A lot of times these are your best entry points because of the way silver trades. And so I wanted to look and find if there were any deals out there to recommend to people, because I frequently do that. Pick out some of the bullion coins or coins that I think are good deals that people should buy. So as I was doing that, I jumped over to Gainesville to start with, and when I go to Gainesville, let me just go back and start fresh so you can see what I do. I just go to Gainesville, and the first thing I usually check is I'll go down to this selection area and I'll choose Australia, and then I'll choose silver, and you can choose all weights, but normally I'll just choose 1 ounce because that's the favorite and that's really the most in demand, and that's kind of like the bellwether for silver, in my opinion. 1 ounce silver coins are the bellwether. Now at some point, half ounce or even 10th ounce coins I think will probably be the bellwether, or maybe junk silver, but right now the 1 ounce silver coin is the bellwether. So we search on that, we can see we found 19 items. So we'll flip our page view to 20 so we get everything on one page. And the first thing that jumps out at you here is that you want to keep this icon in mind, this out of stock exclamation point. But the first thing that jumps out at you is that everything here that you're looking at is some kind of numismatic stuff. So we've got a proof set here, battles in history, More battles in history. We've got Megatron coins. We've got colored coins. We've got more colored coins. And here we have, here's actually a real silver bullion coin. But no, it's not, because it's high relief. So apparently this is a proof coin. So we got to throw that one out. That's not legit either. And that's over $100. So here we go. Here's our first real bullion coin that we have here. Here is the Year of the Rabbit, and it's a 1 ounce silver coin. So this is what we want, but it's unfortunately it's $62. So they still have that in stock, but that's quite a premium considering that silver is at about 41 bucks. So that is not really going to be an option. So we're going to keep going, and that's it. We're done. This is by far the worst supply situation I've seen in Perth Mint coins at Gainesville since I've been tracking it, which is roughly 2 years, maybe a little bit more. So Gainesville doesn't have anything. So the next idea was to jump on over to APMEX, and I'm sorry, that's the wrong one. If we go over to APMEX, and I'll start from scratch there as well. So we go to APMEX, we'll choose silver, and they do it a little differently. They break it all out. But we'll just go and choose the Lunar Series 2. Now there's a lot of ones we can look at, Lunar Series 1, 2. Let's just go to Lunar Series 2 because that's the one that has this 1 ounce dragon, which by the way, there weren't any at Gainesville. We look at our 1 ounce dragon, and they're all, if you see this blue, alert me, we don't have any, but we'll send you an email when we get some. So you can see they've got some kilo coins. I don't know how many of those they have. They got 155 of the kilo coins. Everything else is alert me until we get down to these rabbits. There's a 10 kilo, 321 ounces for one coin, and they've got 5 of those. And they've got some of these 32 ounce coins. They got 23 of those. And then here's our 10 ounce rabbit, our 2 ounce rabbit, and then there's our 1 ounce rabbit. And they're roughly as high as Gainesville, where we've got about 500 of those rabbits. So, and here's the tigers. I don't think you're going to find any 1 ounce. No, you find these weird weights, and that's about it. So on the Lunar Series, they're out. I didn't go into the koalas and all the rest of them. So obviously, when I see this in both places, and these are the two primary dealers, I think, that pre-order their stuff from Perth, the first thing that comes to mind, excuse me, when you start seeing this kind of thing is there's a bottleneck. So the question that has to come to mind is, why is there a bottleneck? Now, I've been following this for years, and any of you who are free market people know that shortages are unnatural. Shortages are cured by high prices. Bottlenecks are also very unnatural. They're cured by fixing whatever is in the chain that causes a bottleneck. So I decided to go to the source itself and head on over to the Perth Mint. And let's do that and start from scratch from the way I started, so you can see what I found when I went there. Now we go to the Perth Mint site, and the first thing that is really fantastic about this is that you get these dragons right here, these 2012 Lunar Series 2 1 ounce silver and 1 ounce gold dragons. That's the first thing that comes up. So what we want to do is, let's go, first of all, there's a couple of ways to explore this site, but let's start with silver coins, and then we're going to go to, there should be a Lunar Series in here. Here it is. We're going to choose Lunar. So you can see the description. Welcome to Silver Coins Lunar section. The Lunar Coin Series celebrates Chinese astrology or the Chinese zodiac. The 12-year series features releases marking the year of the mouse, etc., etc., etc. So The first thing that jumps out at you when you look at this, we're going to be looking for 1 ounce, and we could have specified that, but we'll just go through what they have here. And the first thing that jumps out at you is that everything here, here's the dragon. Oh, this says previous issues sold out, unavailable. Okay, well, so isn't this the new issue? Why is the new issue sold out? And then we see this is actually a proof coin. Even the proof coin is sold out. Where's the bullion coin? Well, we don't see it. We see a bunch of colorized. Oh, look here. Here's a bullion coin, a Year of the Tiger. Well, that's $105, and you know what? They don't have any left at $105 an ounce. And that's it. Now, the other thing I found is that if you head over to bullion products at the Perth Mint, you can select your bullion products and you can do bullion coins. And you can see these bullion coins are the kookaburra, the rabbit, the koala, etc. So if you want to search for bullion coins that are available, you can go, how did I do that? We want to go to bullion coins and then our bullion coin products. I went through this before. Their menu tree is a little bit confusing. If you would like to see the mintages for the lunar series, actually let's go there because that would be interesting to see, which we don't really have that. We'll have to explore this later, but just to summarize, I encourage you to go to the Perth Mint and go all the way through the menus and explore for yourself and see that there really aren't any coins there. They're all sold out. So we're sold out at Perth. We're sold out at Gainesville of the Perth. We're pretty much sold out at APMEX of the Perth. So the big question that comes up is why? Do we have a bottleneck? Because as I've covered in the past, shortages are unnatural. Shortages are very rare in free markets because obviously the person supplying the commodity can simply raise the price until the shortage goes away. Bottlenecks also are very unusual because when you have a bottleneck situation, normally the manufacturer of a particular item, if they find they have a bottleneck in their system, they'll normally alleviate that bottleneck and make it wide, and something else becomes a bottleneck. But as I pointed out, Perth Mint has been running a continuous bottleneck on silver and gold, but primarily silver, for nearly 3 years, ever since the Bear Stearns bankruptcy and the silver smackdown of March of 2008. There have been continuing bottlenecks at the Perth Mint, and the question you have to ask yourself is why. In a free market, obviously somebody selling something at a profit is going to want to sell as much as they can possibly sell to make as much of a profit as they can possibly make. And if they find a bottleneck in their system, they're going to quickly, or maybe in months, but certainly not 3 years, they're going to quickly alleviate that bottleneck, whether that bottleneck is the mining of it, the smelting of it, the minting of it, the distribution of it. But for some reason, we see an ongoing and consistent and seemingly eternal bottleneck of silver at the Perth Mint. And you have to ask yourself why. And I think the answer is pretty obvious, that the Perth Mint, which is a government agency of Australia, knows that to mint and coin and mine silver at $40 to $50 and send it out of the country is borderline treason, because silver is so much more valuable. But because they cannot confront the manipulators of the price of silver who are setting it in a paper market, they just simply create an artificial bottleneck and just trickle out as little silver as they possibly can. And so obviously that is going to be the reason why you want to accumulate as much as you possibly can at these incredibly low prices, because silver is going to go multiples of where it is now, whether it's 5, 10, 50, 100-fold of where it is. There is an artificial bottleneck, an artificial shortage that is being created by these mints and mines and all the rest that know that the price that we have right now is they're selling at a loss and even sacrificing the wealth of their own nation to do so. And we'll talk to you next time.